Hello and welcome everyone. This is your astrology forecast for new moon in Sagittarius. And this new moon is happening on the 19th or 20th of December, depending on where you are in the world. And this is the last new moon of this year. And it really carries us with its deep wisdom into this next year, which is very important. And I will be making a video about 2026 soon. And it's really a significant shift in human consciousness. It's not really external. External change comes as a consequence of the shift in our human consciousness. So there is really some big change happening that is not sudden. It's not like out of nowhere change. It's change that has been cooking for quite some time, for a very long time actually. It's something that we've been going through, like, I wouldn't say it's evolution, but let's say it like that. I don't have a better word for it, but it's something that it's like when we are going through a huge process and then suddenly we enter a new state of being and we don't know how it happened. We don't know where it started, where it ended. We have no clue. We don't have a track of it, but something changed. And this change happened due to many experiences that have shaped us, that have alchemized us, that, gave us new insights, new perspectives. And this new moon is a lot about new perspectives. Sagittarius and ninth house has to do with perspectives. And it teaches us that everything is perception. It's all about the perception. And some of us may be able to have a sneak peek into what truly is this whole matrix, this web, this pattern that we experience as life, this kind of dream that we call life. And there is really new perspective that is being born collectively, but also individually, of course. And we will be asked to really let go of old beliefs. And when we change our beliefs, it's very powerful. Like when we change our habits and beliefs, they really shape our identity and our whole character and our whole story of who we are. And this period right now, this new moon in Sagittarius, is really pushing us towards changing those beliefs. And we are about to see where we've been conditioned, how we have conditioned ourselves through learned and inherited behaviors. And it's really, this is intuitive capacity to know the truth. It's right brain. Sagittarius rules right brain hemisphere, and Mars is the guardian of the truth. And during this time, Mars is also very close, even though it's now in Capricorn. It is in Capricorn, but it's at 2nd or 3rd degree, while this new moon is happening at 28th, 29th degree, so very last degrees of the sign, and Mars is at the very beginning of Capricorn, so they are pretty close. And Mars is in the sign where it's exalted. This is where Mars feels the best. This is where Mars can express itself in the best possible way, in Capricorn. That's why it's in fall in Cancer, in the opposite sign. This is where Mars doesn't feel good, but Mars feels very good in Capricorn. And this is where it can go through a powerful self-mastery, because it has to be patient. Mars is impatient, and Capricorn gives it the ability to really be patient and to use that drive, to use that passion, to use that action and assertiveness in the right way, steadily, in a grounded way, practically, maturely, responsibly. So it's very important to be aware of these things and to take it easy, not to hurry, not to be in the rush. Even though Sagittarius, can be quick energy, it's a fiery sign, so it's very, very passionate too. But Mars in Capricorn is really giving this new moon that mature, wise approach and attitude to everything. So Mars is the guardian of the truth. And Sagittarius archetype is related to wisdom keepers. So this is very, very important thing to know, to recognize intuitively what is true for us in that very moment. Not what is true for that person or this person, but to really intuitively feel what is real for you. And you know, we are really going through birth, and birth can be painful. So this is new moon, it's new birth, new beginning. These are new opportunities, new possibilities, new adventures. Sagittarius and ninth house related to adventures. So this is really an awakening of our adventurous spirit. And we are going to be asked, where do we feel lack of that adventurous spirit? We are about to see where we have forgotten that we have the spirit, and we need something uplifting now. This new moon is giving us that uplifting moment, that connection with the spirit, that really insight into something more meaningful. You know, we need something that gives us a higher meaning. You know, it may be a time when we are faced with heaviness of this reality, of this material world, like heaviness of how everything takes time. You know, we need time for everything. Everything is a process. If we want to take care of ourselves, of our bodies, of our health, of our work, of our love relationships, of our friendships, of our family, it all takes time, and we cannot achieve it all. And we may really feel burdened, and we may have many responsibilities. You know, we may feel the pressure of this existence. We may really be asking existential questions and questioning the whole meaning of life, because Sagittarius really wants to dig deeper into that, to you know, dig those hills of Centaur, and to really see the meaning of what is this, what is all of this. And new moon in Sagittarius comes after full moon in Gemini, which is the opposite sign. And we had this new moon in Gemini, full moon in Gemini, now we have new moon in Sagittarius. Before that we had new moon in Scorpio, 8th house, death and transformation. Now we have the 9th house in Sagittarius. It's new life emerging. It's the philosopher, the seeker, the wise sage, the one who wanders and roams through the world, the adventurer, the traveler. So this is life after death, and it's a strong mental energy, very powerful mental energy. You know, Gemini and Sagittarius, they are both very mental, on a mental plane. They awaken our mental body, which is very powerful and very important, because we can travel with our mind anywhere. You know, we can use our mind to travel anywhere we want. And this is a part of a longer, bigger process. All of this, as I said, you know, we may feel big shift, as if we may feel as if we have been stuck in some kind of nightmare, in a dream that we couldn't wake up from. And we finally wake up, and we have that kind of relief that we now see that it was all a dream. Like after so much heaviness and pressure and expectations, we awaken now and we see, oh, it was just a dream. It was a dream, and it's such a relief. That kind of feeling. I'm not saying it's going to be literally like that, but that kind of feeling we are going to have. And it's necessary to maintain our inner strength and our willpower and determination to speak the truth. And, you know, we may be faced with a lot of lies and propaganda through social media and everything, because Gemini is related to social media, and Sagittarius is related to marketing, and all this influence on our psyche, on our way of thinking, on our beliefs and perspectives, on our religious views. So this is really important to know, that there is a trick that is happening there is a manipulation through fear. So if we are, if what we go through, if the news we see and read, if information that reaches us, it doesn't have to come through any news, but someone can share with us some information that really impacts us in a negative way. You know, our negative way of thinking can cloud our connection with the spirit and bring fog. So we may be unable to see how it really, to be able to create the reality we want to create. So we are not here to fight reality. We are here to create it. You know, many people stay stuck in trying to fight for justice. You know, we fight for justice, we fight for many things, so we get into many crazy battles where we fight for so many things that are, true to be said, meaningless, because we won't achieve anything in that way, really. So this is a time for us to step into the creator mode, not into the mode of a fighter, but the creator, because we have that seed within us. We have the seed of the creator. So let's use that seed of creator instead of going into unnecessary battles, because we cannot fight the whole world. We cannot change the system. We cannot bring the heavenly justice, but we can create that kind of world that we want for ourselves through changing our perspective. And it's really important to know that this is a flame. This Sagittarius new moon carries a big flame, a flame from the Creator, because this is the creation that we experience. It's the creation. And who is the Creator? The one who witnesses it. So we are the creators, of course, but not we as our name, not me as Nina, but me as my being, as being behind my identity, behind my personality, my core essence. And so it's very important to be aware that there is this seed of creation that runs through us, and to give that seed time and space to come to life instead of staying stuck in those repetitive battles, because they are attractive, but we don't gain anything substantial and sustainable through that kind of battle. And this is a flame carried by a wanderer, by the archer, whose arrow is not really pointed outward, but inward, toward the part of us that longs to know who we really are beneath the narratives we've inherited, beneath the ideas that we cling to, beneath the illusions that we've mistaken, and beneath the, everything that we have learned between those learned behaviors that I mentioned in the beginning. So Sagittarius is the archetype of the seeker, the philosopher, the pilgrim, and the one who cannot stay still, because stillness without meaning is a kind of spiritual death. And some of us may be faced with some kind of spiritual death, but this is necessary, because this is where the crisis hits in, and the crisis really hits us hard. So it's a critical moment that awakens us. So this is awakening through crisis, and this kind of spiritual death may be necessary for some of us. It's like an intervention from the universe if we have, taken a wrong path. So it's really an intervention. So we may experience that kind of stillness now that really pushes us to wake up and to move on. And, this is not about searching answers. It's about searching for experience, for adventure, for greater taste of freedom, for something that really moves us, that awakens that flame within us, that awakens the inner traveler, the inner wise sage, the inner philosopher, the inner guru, the inner teacher, because these are all archetypes of Sagittarius. And, we are searching for direct truth that is revealed not through theory, but through lived experiences, through lived and real life experiences, through lived awakening. And it is fire that wants to know itself by expanding beyond what is familiar. So we are stepping into the unknown, of course, because we've been into the underworld of new moon in Scorpio. We have gone into that underworld, and we now have the courage to explore the unknown, to go into what is beyond what is familiar. And this new moon opens a gateway into a deeper relationship with truth. Not the truth that is flattering, but the truth that sets us free. Because many of us search for truth that is flattering, for truth that will feed our ego, that will feed our insecurities, that will feed our pride. But no, this kind of truth now is the truth that sets us free. We don't want truth that is flattering. And this new moon is also related a lot to advanced technology as well. And this is an ongoing subject, of course, because we have Pluto in Aquarius, and we are going to have more of this coming. But when I spoke now about the truth and flattering truth, I remembered ChatGPT, because it's that kind of truth is flattering truth. It's really created to flatter you and to give you what you want to hear. And you know, it's really a tricky thing, but it's not, as I always say, the technology is not the problem. The way we use it, the way we interpret it, the way we understand it, that can be the problem. You know, so we shouldn't really take it as some kind of ultimate absolute truth. But I see many people actually do. So it's very important to know, to discern, to feel within ourselves what is real for us. And even if it's uncomfortable, but if it's something that really wakes us up, it's what's necessary. And you know, this is the energy that awakens the compass of our soul. And you know, to see which you know, this is the compass that points in the direction of what feels meaningful. And the Sagittarius archetype is really shown greatly in the mythology. Half human, half horse, you know, symbolizing instinct plus intellect. You know, it's animalistic body, animalistic part in us, lower body, and divine aspiration. It's the heaven and earth. It's the connection between the matter and spirit. And Sagittarius is the bridge between the ordinary and the transcendental. It is the union of matter and myth. And we need myth. We forgot myths. And myths are very important. And I highly suggest for everyone to go and explore mythologies, to explore old ancient myths, because we live them. This is the story of us. We go through those experiences. We go through many different layers and levels of experiencing those myths. And, you know, through many different emotional states of being, through loss, through pride, through success, through failure, through many things that human being goes through. And, you know, this new moon is really asking us, where have we been living too small? You know, are we afraid to ask big questions? Are we afraid to dream big? And where have we allowed fear to narrow our horizons? What desires have we been suppressing because it feels too big, too wild, or too true, or too much? This is a time when our heart becomes the teacher. And this kind of energy that is encoded into the archetype of Sagittarius awakens our longing for authentic connection. And there is a craving for meaningful relationships and need for emotional sincerity, urge to speak honestly, courage to choose love that inspires growth. So these are really the highest qualities. But of course, we may be faced with some of the lowest qualities of these energies, which are also purposeful. There is nothing wrong with them, and they help us to, you know, climb the ladders from the lowest to highest, and to experience them all, to have the experience, to have the whole experience within us. Because if we don't experience those lowest, experiences, then we cannot even reach those highest experiences. So the higher we go, we have to, have to embody those lowest ones too, because we have to have it all in order to be whole, right? This is no half-hearted connections or half-lived truths or stories. Venus is next to this new moon in Sagittarius. Venus is also in Sagittarius, so she wants love that is alive, love that expands us, love that mirrors our evolution and not our past. And we may be faced with our past and we may cling to some past experiences, but this new moon really tells us just move on, don't look back, take a ride on that horse and go wild, ride that horse and become one with the horse. The rider and the horse need to become one. This is the sacred union between the mind and heart, between our lower and higher nature, between our beliefs and our instincts. And there is a square between this new moon and Saturn and Neptune. This new moon creates a square. Square is a tense aspect. It's 90-degree aspect that brings pressure, puts a lot of pressure on us, and it can bring critical situations. It can kick us out of our comfort zone. It can force us to do something we wouldn't usually do, and this is why it's very good. Squares are very necessary for growth, and without squares, we wouldn't move anywhere, we wouldn't evolve, we wouldn't mature, we wouldn't grow. Because if everything would be easy and light and, just going with the flow, we wouldn't put any effort, we wouldn't give our best. So squares are times when we have to give our best. And this is a square between this new moon and Saturn and Neptune in Pisces. And Saturn is the taskmaster. Saturn in Pisces, Saturn has been here for already 2.5 years. And Saturn will be here until February of 2026. So as I spoke before, Saturn in Pisces really pushes us to take our spiritual journey seriously and to take responsibility for our inner processes and for everything that goes beneath the surface, that goes on beneath the surface. And Neptune in Pisces, Neptune is the ruler of Pisces. Neptune will get out of Pisces in January after 15, 16 years of being here. So this is a big, big global shift. And now this square may be like an introduction to a big ending of what we've been through and introduction into the new chapter, new story of humanity, of humankind, and of us as we are, of what it means to be a human being. And so we may be asked, is this really true? Is this my truth, or is this my escape? Because Neptune and Pisces energy is a lot about escapism and a lot about spiritual bypassing as well. So it can be tricky, spiritual bypassing, using meditation and all the spiritual techniques as a way to escape reality, or using astrology or tarot or crystals or all these things that are really our tools for connection with the spirit as a way to escape what we are going through. As if we give all the power to those tools, thinking that they will solve our problems, we're going to find ourselves in a problem again. We have to know that these are just tools. These are not some, magical wands that help us and that can change everything. But these are tools and we have to use them, but use them consciously. Not as a way to escape something, not as a shortcut to something. There is no shortcut. We have to experience it all. Even if we skip something, we will face it. We'll be faced with those things sooner or later. So, we may be asking ourselves, is this a calling or an illusion that is shaped by fear or shaped by a desire? It can feel like walking through a dream, really not knowing which direction is real. But dreams are where souls send messages, so let's pay attention to our dreams. Saturn and Neptune in Pisces and this square with new moon will really open some new portals through our dreams and through symbols that we experience in dreams, again through colors that we see in dreams. You know, some very important messages there. And Sagittarius really wants us to explore, while Neptune wants us to surrender. So we may find ourselves between these two, like going really deeply into something, exploring, going on an adventure, and need to surrender, to just let it all go. But we have to find a fine line between these and to combine them in a powerful union. And you know, Saturn in Pisces is like a karmic father, a karmic teacher, a karmic priest, and this Saturn is asking us, you know, are our intentions pure? Are your intentions pure? And are our beliefs really sustainable? Are they serving us? Are our beliefs helping us, or are they destroying us? And this new moon will show us, will give us these kinds of answers. Now, it gives us through experiences, through direct live experiences, and it will show us something that we can see them. You know, every new moon gives us a perspective with new eyes. You know, we can see some situation from new angle, and you know, we may be faced with some situation that we don't know, is this real or not? Like, can this vision become real and not just imagined? Is this calling real? You know, all these kinds of things will be strong now. And Sagittarius is about expansion, while Saturn is about contraction. Saturn defines things, it gives them form, and Sagittarius expands them. So we may be really expanding something that we are building. You know, we may be building something which is Saturn energy, building our dreams, Pisces, dreams, Saturn, building, Sagittarius, expanding, and giving it a truth, giving it meaning, giving it purpose. So this new moon really, you know, stands between them, between Sagittarius and Saturn and Neptune, and there is tension between, you know, possibilities and responsibilities. So there's also a great story that I just remembered. A student and teacher was asked by a student, what is path to awakening? What is path to freedom from all these chains of this material realm, from all this pain of this body, from all the pain of loss? Because everything that we see now and that we have and that we experience love and kindness through has to be gone one day. So what is the path to awakening? And the master replied, walk until you no longer hear your own footsteps. And the student was confused, and he asked, how can I walk without hearing myself walking? And the master replied, when you stop listening to the footsteps of your old self, this is when you will stop hearing them, because this is what gives us this present moment, you know, when we are not stuck in the past. And Saturn and Pisces can pull us back into the past strongly and hold us there in the past. And past can be very attractive now, especially if we are, if we have tendency to fall into victim mentality. Again, Pisces, victim mentality, and this square. And you know, it can really trigger some of those things, like if we were betrayed, or if we've been lied to, Sagittarius, related to lies, and if what we believed in fails us, beliefs, Sagittarius. If it fails us, you know, critical moment, the square, then we fall easily into victim mentality and blaming the whole world, blaming everyone else, or even blaming ourselves, like, oh, poor me, you know. All these things really affect us negatively, and they lead us nowhere. And they have no purpose. They are not real. Many people say, no, it's not pessimistic, it's realistic. No, it's not realistic. Who actually tells us what is realistic? It's we who give it the direction. You know, if I say that something is real, it can become real. So let's play. we can play with our perspectives. We can play with giving something a meaning. When we give something a meaning, it becomes meaningful. But we allow other voices to tell us what is meaningful. We allow all the things outside of ourselves to tell us the truth, to tell us what to follow, what not to follow, who to listen, who not to listen. So it's really important to point that arrow inward and to shoot the target. And we cannot enter the next chapter with the beliefs of the last chapter. We have to leave those behind if we want to move on. And of course, to keep some that are, of course, going to serve us more, but many of them need to go. And, we cannot meet our future with the fears of our past. And this is really time to understand the rider and the horse. Not the horse of the world, but the horse of my body. These are our instincts, our impulses, and our desires to move. And we climb onto its back. And we may see that we have forgotten how to trust our own nature. We have forgotten to trust our own instincts, our own desire to move. And this is time to really reconnect with that lower part of ourselves, to reconnect with the horse, with the animalistic part. And, these reins may be unstable now. And the horse may, kick us and we may fall, but we get up and try again. And this horse may ask us, our lower part, our animalistic part may ask us, are we ready for a ride? Or are we still trying to control everything? And, certain dose of surrender is really necessary because we have this Saturn and Neptune in Pisces. And Venus is next to this new moon. Let's not forget this Venus. We open through the heart, through the beauty, through love. This is really important, not only to act from our intellect, not only through intellectual conclusions and rational way of thinking, but we have to include the wisdom of the heart. Without Venus here, the story would be different, but Venus is next to this new moon. And she gives us the perspective of the heart too. So, and this new moon is not asking us to go anywhere. Ninth house is related to traveling and foreign places and foreign people and international connections. Of course, this can be very strong. We may be connecting with people from all over the world, exchanging our experiences, expanding our perspectives thanks to these connections, sharing our experiences, sharing our knowledge, our skills, our opinions. This is all really possible, and traveling is highly possible. But this is not asking us, it's not about going anywhere. It's about truly just allowing everyone to be at their own level of being. It's about seeing the different perspectives and honoring them without trying to convince anyone of anything, because with this strong Sagittarius energy, we may have a tendency to convince others, to impose our will onto others, to impose our perspectives on others. So let's not go into that direction either. And the Sagittarius is it's very paradoxical too. It's paradox that is embodied, half animal, half human. And this is a creature who must learn that the higher path cannot be reached unless the lower nature is honored. So we are now asked to honor this lower nature, not to just dismiss it as something that is bad, because I see that majority of people think that this lower nature needs to be cut off. No, it needs to be used. How would we move? Imagine if Ken Tower cut off his horse part, how would he move? And with his horse part, he is whole. So the rider represents our vision and our hope, our truth, our direction, while the horse represents our instincts, desires, memories, our raw life force. And you know, rider always tries to dominate the horse, and the horse tries to run in directions that the rider refuses to see. So this is time to bring them together, the heart and mind, you know, the feelings and the thoughts. And, you know, we won't be able to reach that horizon that we have in our vision until we are one with the horse. And there's this centaur called Ixion, and he is not really gentle as Chiron. Chiron is another centaur too. So this is the story where we can, you know, bring together Chiron and Ixion. Chiron is the wounded healer, and he's very knowledgeable, educated, and very aware of his wounds, and uses his wounds as source for healing. And Ixion is our shadow, is the shadow centaur, and it may be a shadow of Chiron too. And it's everything but gentle. He is the wild centaur, the exiled one, the embodiment of untamed desires, of unruled impulses. And, you know, this is the shadow that refuses to be sanctified. You know, and Ixion the Ixion part in us, because we carry this myth in us too, may ask us, you know, are we still trying to be good? Are we still trying to be wise? Still trying to be truthful? But how can we do this if we forget and ignore the parts of us that want what it wants, you know, regardless of virtue? You know, because we cannot reach this place if we ignore this Ixion part in us, this shadow part in us, the wild one, the untamed one. You know, we may struggle with this, you know, but these are processes. We may first hate it, then fear it, then understand it, or in many other ways these processes can go. And Ixion shows us everything we deny in ourselves: the hunger, the longing, the ego, the impulses, the temptation to escape rather than evolve. You know, everything that we deny and we want to run away from. This is Ixion part in us, the centaur Ixion. You know, you can explore it and go deeper into it all. And, you know, Ixion will show us those places where we betrayed ourselves, pretending that we were above our desires. But we may be faced with our desires now and see where we fail to connect with the spirit. And why? Because we maybe deny this part in us. And Sagittarius teaches us that the horizon is not outside of us. It's really not outside of us. And Neptune, this square with Neptune, may create fog and illusion and a longing and the need to escape, the temptation to see things not as they are but as we wish they were. So Saturn, on the other hand, brings the gate that we have to walk through, the test of authenticity, sincerity, maturity, and responsibility, and discipline, our inner discipline. And, you know, we are asked what is real, what is fantasy, and what is worth committing to, what is worth building. And, you know, if the rider pulls in one direction and the horse in another, we feel inner conflict and we feel pressure, we feel tension. But when the rider and horse become one, we move with incredible clarity and speed. And this is what we are going to do now. And this new moon is asking us, where are we out of alignment with ourselves? Where is our mind going one way and our heart going another? You know, what would happen if all parts of us finally moved together? And Chiron and Ixion are really great roles now that we are awakening within us. You know, Chiron reminds us that our wounds are not weaknesses. You know, they are our guides. They are our compasses. They are our assistants, as I always say. They show us what we are here to learn, you know, what we are here to heal, what we are here to grow from. While the Ixion reminds us of the shadow we carry, the part of us that wants to escape accountability, and the part that says, you know, I'll take the easier path, even when we know it isn't aligned. So together they are really teaching us the wholeness, the wisdom of the wholeness. And, you know, this is the journey of the heart. Venus is really here, the guiding heart of this whole journey. Let's not forget Venus in all of this. And this meaning needs to be alive and rooted in love. And you know, this new moon is also asking us one of the most important and oldest questions, like, is there an objective truth, or is everything we see simply a reflection of our inner world? And Sagittarius energy may tell us that both is true, and that there is objective truth and there is this truth. And you know, the truth is, most people inherit their beliefs long before they question them. You know, through family, culture, religion, education, all these become frameworks we unconsciously accept as truth. But Sagittarius asks us to become adults in our own worldview, and to see that, to ask ourselves, do I believe this because it's mine? You know, because it was handed to me, because it comes through my religion, through my family, through my perspectives. You know, and this new moon really asks us to peel away the layers, you know, not out of rebellion, but because of need for awareness. And, you know, there is no single objective truth, and each person must seek truth as if there is. And, you know, this can sound paradoxical. Seek the truth as if there is objective truth. And Sagittarius knows that truth is shaped by consciousness, and what we see depends on where we stand. You know, there is great wisdom behind this, and what we perceive depends on who we are. So this is very similar to the quote that I shared for the previous video, the full moon in Gemini. We don't see world as it is, we see it as we are. You know, the world we see is the mirror of the world within us. This isn't a metaphor, it's psychology, spirituality, quantum philosophy, and quantum physics all together. Beliefs are not simply ideas, they are structures that give us identity, direction, belonging, meaning, safety. They give us, you know, beliefs, very important. And which is why changing a belief feels like losing a piece of ourselves. And when we begin questioning our beliefs, we begin questioning ourselves, our identity, our truth. And this new moon may bring existential questions, really meaningful one, but also spiritual discomfort and sudden urge to expand our way of thinking, to expand ourselves. So really big thirst for knowledge. And, you know, we may be asked, like, is the world something we see or something that reflects us? And this new moon may say it's both. You know, there is an external world, and we can only meet it through the lens of our inner world. And this outer world is not an illusion, it's an interaction. You know, it doesn't mean it's not real. It's, when we say it's Maya, it's illusion, this doesn't mean that the external world doesn't exist. It just means that it's not what we think it is. It's not as it seems. And this is illusion, you know, our perception. So everything we encounter reflects something about our beliefs, our wounds, our expectations, desires. And, you know, it really tells us a lot about ourselves. You know, we are not just moving through life. This new moon really tells us that we are constantly shaping and interpreting it. By interpreting the world we created. So it's really important to be aware of how we interpret what we see, how we interpret experiences that we go through, how we interpret everything around us that we witness, because how we interpret it is how we create it. You know, this is very, very important to know. And, you know, it's not about finding the truth, it's about finding our truth. It's about finding your truth, you know, truth that awakens you, truth that strengthens you, that expands you and liberates you, not everyone, but you, because this is what will lead you further. And there is a great quote from Jung that really aligns greatly with this new moon. And it says, your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakens. This last sentence is especially important. who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakens. And this is very, very powerful thing to know. And I would also like to share with you now in the end that we have very significant yearly horoscopes for 2026, because this year is very big. And I don't see those horoscopes as really some horoscopes or as just technical information, but as something that is alive, and that each person who reads it is the creator of it. And as you or me go through it and read it and interpret it, we create it. And it's very alive experience. So all of you who want to dig deeper into 2026, and this doesn't really relies only on 2026, it expands on many years, and it's a bit timeless. I can say it's timeless. And these horoscopes were written by me and worked by a whole team of Moon Omens, really hard work. We all contributed to it. And you can find, there will be a link in the description beneath the video, this video, and it's really something that we all put our hearts into, because we know how important it is to create the perspective that is uplifting and not destructive, but that is yet real, that gives us all possibilities, but that gives us that taste of freedom and upliftment. And we all really poured our hearts into it, the whole team. And it's something very precious to all of us. And I believe that it really changes something. It can help each person who goes through it find at least one thing that will have a life-changing impact on their hearts. So, yes, if you're interested, you can find the link in the description of this video. And it was really a huge process of creation. It's like a therapeutic journey. This whole creation of these yearly horoscopes were truly a big, big healing journey. And it's been it's been a struggle, really, but that's how I see it, you know, because we created it through all the struggle, and it was very healing. And I think and believe and know that this is something really meaningful. So I highly recommend it. And I will say again, who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakens. Love you all, and see you in 2 weeks. Bye-bye.